Well, hello and welcome back to another edition of the Journal. In the second part of our adventure off Ortega Highway, after completing our San Mateo hike, Dave and I headed down Ortega Highway to find Ortega Falls. Now, I grew up in Orange County and quickly realized the best way to get into the remote backcountry of the Santa Ana Mountains was to take Ortega Highway from San Juan Capistrano east toward Lake Elsinore. Along the way, there were many access points to some great hiking trails and some damn good jeep trails, with some outstanding views both out over the Pacific Ocean to the west and the snow-capped mountains of San Bernardino to the east. When I eventually got married and settled down and bought a home in southwest Riverside, the possibility of making that long commute from Temecula across Ortega Highway to the I-5 freeway became a reality. While the scenic stretch of highway was technically a shorter drive, it definitely wasn't any quicker, as the sharp turns and steep drop-offs and maniacal drivers made me slow down to be on the safe side. After all, I was a husband and a father now, and I had responsibilities. While I didn't take Ortega Highway daily, I did drive it enough to become intimately familiar with its twists and turns and pullouts, where oncoming cars seemed to pull right out in front of me or across onto my side of the narrow two-lane road on blind corners, and that was just enough to get your heart racing in a hurry. Since I had been hiking to just about all the marked trails in these here parts, there was one little trail that I always avoided, and that was the trail down to Ortega Falls. Now, it's not that that was a necessarily tough or steep climb. It was only a third of a mile and it was downhill. It's just that there have been so many problems down there at the base of the falls. To be honest, I was a little afraid. Now, most trails I go on are off the beaten path. They're tough not only to get to, but to hike. So these little short hikes, the ones that are right off the main highway, they really didn't seem too interesting to me. You couple that with a high crime rate, both at the trailhead and down in the canyon bottom, it made this hike a taboo for me. I had heard that at Ortega Falls, the place was covered with graffiti, trash, and drugs, and criminals. And on today's adventure, Dave and I decided to go down and see for ourselves. And you know what? Yep, that's pretty much right on the money. Now, graffiti is a type of art genre that means drawing or writings made on a wall or other surface, usually without permission and within public view. Now, it ranges from simple written words to elaborate wall paintings and has existed for thousands of years, with examples dating all the way back to ancient Egyptian times and Greece and even the Roman Empire. It's even been found in the catacombs of Rome or Pompeii, and it's the only known source of the Safavidic language, an ancient form of Arabic. Inscriptions scratched onto the surface of rocks and boulders in the predominantly basalt desert region of southern Syria, eastern Jordan, and northern Saudi Arabia. The Safavidic dates from the 1st century BC all the way to the 4th century AD. The first example of modern-style graffiti survives in the ancient Greek city of Ephesus in modern-day Turkey. Now, local guides say it's an advertisement for prostitution. Located near a mosaic and a stone walkway, the graffiti shows a handprint that vaguely resembles a heart, along with a footprint, a number, and a carved image of a woman's head. The ancient Romans carved graffiti on walls and monuments, and examples of this also survive in Egypt. Ancient graffiti displayed phrases of love declarations, political rhetoric, and simple words of thought, compared to today's popular message of social and political ideals. Now, graffiti is a controversial subject. In most countries, marking or painting property without permission is considered by property owners and civic authorities like the police as defacement and vandalism, which is a punishable crime, citing the use of graffiti by street gangs to mark territory or to serve as an indicator of gang-related activities. Graffiti now becomes visualized as a growing urban problem, for many spreading from the New York City subway system in the early 1970s to the rest of the United States, Europe, and other regions. According to some, art should comfort the disturbed and disturb the comfortable, said Banksy, a graffiti master, painter, activist, filmmaker, and all-purpose provocateur who made the list of the world's most 100 influential people. Well, on this adventure, I was disturbed by what I saw, but I have to say it was definitely thought-provoking and actually made for some pretty good photos. Now, I have to admit this wasn't the first graffiti-covered hike I'd been on, so I kinda knew what to expect. But what I wasn't prepared for was the level of hatred, the anti-Semitism, and all the drug references. Now, there were some things I did find amusing in my twisted little brain, but on the hike out of the canyon I felt like I'd been gut-punched, and I was a little nauseous. Well, we're at the parking area for Ortega Falls, or right off Ortega Highway, which is right behind me. They got a ton of construction work going on here, and the falls are right back here in this canyon. We're going to see those pretty quickly. We can already see the graffiti from here. It's a nice, cool day. Hopefully, we'll see a little bit of water down there. You know, the one knock about this trail is the amount of graffiti you'll see along the way. And we've already seen quite a bit just in a short stretch as we work our way over toward the falls. Well, up there toward the top is Ortega Falls. Can barely hear the water. There must be something running, but not a lot. You know, we've just gone down the trail just 5 minutes and we're almost at the falls already. There's not a lot of water flowing. There is some, but the amount of graffiti here is phenomenal. And there's a couple of different falls. There's the upper falls, which is where we're headed to. There's also another set of falls down below. We'll get there eventually. And if you didn't know where the graffiti came from, there's your can right there. Behind me is Ortega Falls. It's just a short distance, quarter mile off the highway. And, there's a little bit of water flowing, not a whole lot, but if you're ever driving from Orange County to Riverside County and you're in the mood for a little hike, especially after a good rain, this is kind of a nice spot to go. There's a lot of graffiti on the rocks down here, a lot of trash. But if you're in for a really short adventure that's on your way, feel free to come down here and check out Ortega Falls. I'm going to go down here in a minute and get a little closer. Well, this is Ortega Falls, which is, I don't know, about a 30-foot drop, I guess, from the top. We're told there's another little level above. We might take a run up there and see what it looks like. Maybe not. We'll see how difficult it is. There is some poison oak around all the boulders here, so you got to be careful when you're up here. I wish there was a little more water flowing, but you know, better than nothing. Most of the time you come up here, it's dry. So looks like we got quite the art show here. We got aliens smoking a cigarette, all kinds of things here. So anyway, we're going to enjoy a few minutes here at Ortega Falls, and we're going to start heading back. All right, well, check out that graffiti. We've got our resident alien smoking a joint and his girlfriend.
That's a Nazi symbol
Yeah,
here.
we've got
Scooter.
Nazi symbol in the middle of a flower or a sun. I don't really know. At least I know we're loved, even though somebody else doesn't believe it. Then somebody placed their Arroyo's detailing sign in case you need your car worked on. That's looking downstream. We'll get a better look down there in a little bit. There's our racist graffiti down there on that rock. Now I read that there are some bolts in this somewhere, and people actually rappel down this. I can see that. I don't really see any chalk lines or anything. Well, that right there, that's Ortega Falls. It drops about 30 feet into this lovely little pond right here. I guess in better years, it's probably a pretty good flow. Today, it's not the greatest, but it's something. We got a rain a couple days ago. That's probably the only reason there's water in it at all. We're going to take a trip downstream a little bit to see if we can see the other set of falls down there. Okay, so when you come down here to Ortega Falls, you have to be careful of the company you keep when you come down here. Make sure you're protected. This one says, "Fuck the Lord," with 666 on it. There's another 666 on the rock right there. There's racial graffiti everywhere. Well, as we got to the top of this flat section, there's a drop off, and this must be what we assume is part of the second falls. As the water runs off right here, runs down this granite face. It really isn't a lot. I don't know why somebody's so mad at stingrays. I don't know what that's about. There's dick cheese over there. And of course we have the Nazi swastika down there. Well, I guess you leave your kids at home on this one. This one is not G-rated. Well, there's a trail that goes to this lower set, but that's really steep. Looks like we can come up to the lower falls from a different angle. It'd be kind of cool to go down there. We're gonna see if we can work our way up from the bottom. Look at that graffiti down there. "Life without you is not worth living." Who knows? Maybe that's where he took his own life. Right there. All right, well, when you get to the penis, that means you gotta go to the right. Gonna work your way. It looks like we can go down right here. So we'll try to make it down this way without falling. You know, for as highly populated as this waterfall is, number one, I'm surprised there's nobody here today other than a woman and her daughter that were just here, that just left. And I would have thought the trail would have been in a little better condition, a little more well marked and more traveled. There's a lot of gravel and granite mixed in, and I did bring my gloves. I don't know, maybe on the way back I'll put them on just to save my hands. There's a bee. It's a big bumblebee. All right, I'll keep looking our way down. I think I'm gonna go this way, Dave. Work my way down this way. All right, Dave's working his way down. It is a smiley face with a penis. That's nice. You know, the funniest part is all this is poison oak. Poison oak everywhere. I bet you all these people doing all this graffiti have no idea that it's poison oak. That's what's funny. Because I bet you half these people get home, wash their hands from all the spray paint, and then a couple days later, they get poison oak. That's funny. We're gonna work our way around to the right. See if we can see the bottom of the falls over here. How's this for a little creepy tree here?
Can you make it through there?
Oh yeah. No, you can make it through. And at least here it's just oak. It's not poison oak, which is nice. It's like somebody left their KFC here. Nice of them. That's a Playboy bunny? I think that's what that is. Oh, here we go. Fell in love with the drugs. That says quite a bit, doesn't it?
They don't like Jews, but they like penises.
Yeah, they don't like Jews, they don't like blacks. But they like penises, I guess. I don't know what this is. And they don't like MDC, whatever that is. What do they like? We're gonna work our way over here. Well, that's the famous Playboy Bunny. And whoever was down here must have been hungry, or they just came from Carl's Jr. Somebody else is a Nike fan, could be. You only get one soulmate. Must be the area codes of where these people came from. The 710, don't know where that is. Just keep going. Yeah, it goes through this little flat section here. Yeah, that's it. Well, here is the some of the lower falls. We were just at the top of that right there about 10 minutes ago, and we've worked our way down below this and crawled across a bunch of rocks to get to this point here. And there's equally as much graffiti here, maybe even more so than we saw at the upper set of falls. I wonder how many trips it took to complete this graffiti. How many years maybe? You never know. Looks like over there you have part of a flower, maybe a spider web. Don't really know. As we're looking back downstream, our little waterfall that comes from the upper falls down to this section here. And in case you're lost, just follow the penis and balls to the lower waterfall. Why would they waste their time painting that on a rock? I don't get it. Maybe I'm too old, it's over my head. Well, this is kind of a little scramble here, so I'm putting on my gloves here. Dave is straight up the hill ahead of me here. This was kind of slippery. And I don't want to fall here. So we're going to eventually work our way back up the hill. Well, we're getting there. Pretty steep. I think Dave's run into some people up here working their way down. Looks like we're gonna go left here, get back on the trail. So you head over to the north. On the way down to the falls. Looks like here's our trail. Well, that'll do it for this edition of the Journal, our hike down to Ortega Falls. While we didn't see a lot of water flowing, we did get to see some. And while we didn't witness any crimes occurring on our visit, we did run into a group of 3 cute college girls doing a hike on spring break. They were college students from the East Coast, and they had rented an Airbnb in San Clemente for the week, and they wanted to get out of the heavy marine layer and go do a hike. They told us while down near the base of one of the waterfall drops, We didn't see him, by the way, when we were down there. They were confronted by a creepy guy wearing black jeans, a black t-shirt, and a hoodie, and it made him feel really uncomfortable. They said he asked them if they had seen his truck, and he wanted them to help him look for it. Okay, so Ortega Falls is way down in a gorge blocked by steep rocks and thick brush, and seemingly no way in hell that a vehicle could get down there. He told them his truck was stolen a few days ago and that someone had spotted it down near the falls, and he had climbed down to look for it. The girls told him they were sorry, but they were on a time crunch and had to get back, so they really couldn't help. Hurriedly, they raced back up the canyon and spit out on the trail right next to us while Dave and I were having a beer next to the Jeep. We talked to the girls for a while until they calmed down a bit and finally got in their car and got the high hell out of there. We told them we'd hang out a bit to see if we run into the guy. Now we found this odd because there weren't any other vehicles at the trailhead, so how did this guy get over here to look for his truck anyway? Believe it or not, a guy suddenly emerged out of the bushes wearing black jeans and a hoodie. I looked over at Dave as he approached. He seemed friendly enough and asked us if we had seen his truck. I had him describe it, and he said it was an older white Ford F-250 with a ladder rack. Dave and I told him we hadn't seen it. Just then, an older white Honda Accord with body damage pulled into the dirt shoulder and skidded to a stop. This guy we were talking to in the hoodie jumped into the passenger seat and they sped away. That was pretty odd, huh? And just to make it even stranger, soon after, a pumpkin orange Porsche driving east from Orange County toward Riverside whipped a U-ey and slid right to a stop next to us. The black convertible top began to lower automatically, and suddenly this hot-looking MILF got out, leaving the car running and disappeared over the edge into the bushes. Now, she must have been out of sight for 10 minutes while her $100,000 Porsche purred unattended. Suddenly, she emerged with her phone in hand and hopped back into the car and drove back out the direction she had come from. Don't really know what that was all about. Maybe she just wanted to get some quick photos of the falls, or maybe she just had to go take a dump. Who knows? A lot of weird shit goes on up here. Well, we made it back from Ortega Falls. As far as the hike goes, it's not really a hike. It's just a little scramble down a steep embankment to get to the falls. You park right on the highway. It's not in the greatest spots as far as parking goes. You know, there's a lot of traffic. You have to worry about being hit. You also have to worry about your car being broken into because you park right off the road, and any dirt bag that goes from Riverside to Orange County or Orange County to Riverside, they can pull over, break into your car, and be on the road in 30 seconds, and you wouldn't have any way to prevent it because you'd be down at the falls. The trip down to the falls was pretty, uneventful, except when you get down there, you realize just the huge amount of graffiti on the rocks down there. And it is what it is. I guess it's, being this close to the highway makes it pretty easy for them to access it. A lot of the trails that we go to, they're farther back, they're more remote, they're more difficult, and people that carry spray paint cans or are into that kind of thing usually aren't hikers, and they usually don't care about the environment, and they won't take the effort to hike 5 miles up a mountain 3,000 feet to do some graffiti and then come back. They won't do it. So it's kind of a land of opportunity for them. And while it is distracting and defacing, I gotta admit some of it was actually somewhat humorous. Kind of puts you into the same perspective of what were they thinking when they decided to spray paint that on the rock. It's not the same as carving your initials into the tree when you draw a giant penis on a rock. I mean, what's the purpose of that? Or drawing aliens smoking joints. So I don't know what their rationale is behind that. Maybe to them it's artwork, and maybe I'm just an old fuddy-duddy. I don't know, but I don't know. I don't even know how you would clean that up. You would have to go down there with a sandblaster and a crew, and it wouldn't make much difference because in a week it'd probably be covered again. So anyway, in that aspect, it's kind of disappointing, but at least I can check that off my bucket list. I'd never been to Ortega Falls before. I've driven that road 1,000 times over my lifetime. I've never been there, and now I can say I have. I wish there would have been a little more water, but there was some water, so I'll take that too. There was a little trickle. But anyway, I'm working my way back down the grade here, and this is a really steep, windy road, and a lot of wrecks occur right here. So I have to kind of pay attention. But I am going to pull over right here, right now, and I'm going to switch the camera around so you can see what it looks like as I work my way down Ortega Highway. Well, I guess to some people this is an exciting drive coming down the Ortega Highway. We just passed the old Lookout, which is an old bar that was been there as long as I can remember. As we're working our way down from the grade here, you can see Lake Elsinore off to the left in the distance. And a lot of times on the weekends, people take their motorcycles up here, their knee draggers, their road bikes, and they drive really fast. And I guess it's exciting for them. It's highly dangerous. There's also a lot of people that come up here in Harleys and road bikes, and they come up here just to take the scenic drive. And I got to admit, it is pretty scenic. Certain times of the year are better than others. You know, obviously you don't want to come up here, you know, in the winter. They do get snow at the upper elevations. It does get a little icy. And in the summertime, and especially in the evening, that's my favorite time to be up here in Ortega. As you see, Lake Elsinore finally sprawling out in front of us there. I used to work in Orange County, and I would drive over the Ortega Highway, and I would come down here to this spot, and it was always nice driving through the upper elevations on Ortega Highway because there were campgrounds on either side, and I would take the Jeep with the top down, and it just, that smell of the pine trees and the campfires just, you know, brought back a flood of memories of great times I've had in the outdoors. And it was a nice scenic drive. Luckily, if you're lucky, you'll get stuck behind a gardener in a big gardening truck doing about 40 miles an hour, because in fact there's a U.S. Forest Service fire truck in front of us here. They had a controlled burn up here today. I don't know where it was at, but they did have a controlled burn, so that's probably them coming home, because we got a great view of Lake Elsinore. But yeah, this is one of the more windier roads. There's a lot of traffic fatalities up here. A lot of accidents occur up here. It's usually because, you know, people are driving too fast for the conditions, or they're motorcycles that cross over onto the wrong side of the road. That's probably 90% of the fatals up here are motorcycles. Occasionally you get drunks, you know, people coming across from Orange County or going the other way. But for the most part, this is actually kind of a nice scenic drive. Just drive it at the speed it's intended. You know, speed limit here is like 45 to 55, and if you're driving it at that speed, it's actually a nice drive. Well, that's it for this edition of the Journal, our hike down to Ortega Falls. In the next edition, it's my exciting solo adventure, a 16-mile hike in Snake City, a climb to the top of Agua Tibia Mountain, where I ran into 8 snakes. Now you're going to like this one because I got a lot of great footage of some of Southern California's most dangerous snakes. This is another Western Diamondback, and this one is not a juvenile. This one's an adult. I'm going to let him go on his merry way. I don't want any part of that guy. That'll all be coming up in the next edition of the Journal. Once again, thanks for watching, and don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button to get the notifications of the next editions as I post them. Once again, take care, and I'll see you down the trail. Bye-bye. He's definitely Southern Pacific, maybe. He's a full-grown adult. He's definitely got the triangular-shaped head.